In today's video, we're cooking a vibrant and well-balanced meal in just one air fryer. This is my 5-spice and coconut tofu goodness bowl. Today's video is kindly sponsored by Cosori, and with their Turbo Tower air fryer, cooking this meal is going to be a breeze. With the Turbo Tower's 3 layers, you can cook 3 different elements of a dish at the same time, and it's got a total capacity of 10.8 litres. I'm making use of the air fryer's multi-function cooking to cook 3 different parts of the meal at different temperatures and different timings. With the baby pak choi in the top layer, the coconut crusted tofu in the middle, and then the 5-spice roasted potatoes in the bottom. Let's get started with the potatoes, which are incredibly simple. For the potatoes, I'm going to keep the skin on, and I'm just going to cut them into sort of bite-sized chunks. I'm going to cut them fairly small so that they cook at roughly the same time as the tofu. This is a floury variety of potato, which is my favorite for when you're sort of roasting them in the air fryer. Just doing about 2 medium potatoes here. Get these straight into the bottom layer of the air fryer. So I'm going to take out the roasting tray, which is going to have the tofu on. Pop in the potatoes. We're keeping the crisper tray in as well. You could do this in a bowl beforehand, but I'm going to save washing up and do it straight into the air fryer. So to season these, we're just going to go in with about a tablespoon of olive oil, and then just give that a good shake to get them all coated nicely. And then seasoning, I'm going to keep really simple. I'm going to do a little bit of granulated garlic, touch of Chinese 5-spice, and a few mustard seeds. And then once again, just give them a good shake. We'll of course add some sea salt as well, nearly forgot. And now we've got the potatoes in the bottom, and we're going to put in the roasting tray on top, ready for the tofu.
These potatoes are going to get extra crispy as Cosori are the only brand on the market with a true top-down heat flow structure in dual basket air fryers. With both the fan and the heating element placed at the top, this design is optimized for hot air circulation for even cooking. This air fryer also comes with 6 functions. These are proof, bake, reheat, grill, roast, and air fry, making it extremely versatile.
Next for the tofu, I've had this marinating overnight, so let's quickly rewind to last night. So it's the day before, and we're just making a very simple marinade for the tofu, which is going to be tamari or soy sauce, grated ginger and garlic. So using a flat dish here is going to be the best way to get a nice coverage on the tofu. Then I'm going to use a zester for the ginger, which is going to get it really nice and fine. And if you don't have time to marinate this overnight, then that's absolutely fine. You can do it for half an hour and it will still impart some nice flavor. And then the garlic, I'm going to do the exact same, just zest it in. Freezing the tofu and then defrosting it also helps with making it more sort of porous and able to absorb the marinade. And then just give that a little whisk. I'm cooking for 2 people, so I've got these 4 slabs of tofu, and I'm just going to make a quick sort of cross diamond pattern on the tofu to help it absorb the marinade. You don't want to go too deep or else it'll sort of break up the tofu. I'm using an extra firm tofu here, so it is quite resilient, but you could use a firm tofu. You just have to be a little bit more careful not to break it up. You don't have to be really precise making the diamonds all the same size. You can be quite rough. And then just pop them in the marinade. Make sure you sort of turn them around in it, get them all really nice and coated. I'm doing this about 24 hours in advance of cooking them, so I'll sort of turn them in the marinade every few hours during that time. You could also do this in a Ziploc bag. That's a really good way of doing it. And then just pop a lid on and they'll be good to go tomorrow. And essentially whenever I go to the fridge, which for me is quite often, I'll just sort of turn them around in the marinade, give them a little bit of a rotation, and that means that the marinade is going to really get into every piece. I've then got some really nice baby pak choi here, and I'm just going to cut off this sort of little dry bit right at the end. Then I'm going to go straight down the middle, like so. Look at that, really beautiful. This one's quite small, so I think I will just leave it like that. And this one's slightly bigger, so I'm going to go cut it into quarters. Probably won't need all of this for 2 people, so I'm just going to take 2 of them away. I'm going to put these straight into the top layer of the air fryer, and I'm going to keep them super simple, just a little drizzle of olive oil. And then I've got this lazy jarred chopped chilli. I'm just going to put about half a teaspoon over them. A crack of black pepper. I'll just get that chili and oil nice and rubbed in all over. And then that is ready for the air fryer. So it's time to turn this marinated tofu into the coconut crusted tofu, which we're going for. So I've got the tofu, we're gonna put that to the left. And then I've got a quick batter here, which is literally just corn flour and some plant-based milk whisked together. And then I've just got desiccated coconut on a plate, which we're going to be dipping it into. I've then got the air fryer basket, which has the 5-spice potatoes in the bottom and the roasting tray on the top, so we can put the tofu straight into this tray. So really simply, we're just gonna go first into the batter, like so, and then just let that all drip off. You don't want too much excess on your tofu, and then straight into the tofu, and then straight into the coconut. I'm gonna use my right hand as the dry hand, and just sort of pat that tofu in so that it sticks nicely. And then just let that drop off a little bit, and then onto the roasting tray. So I always keep one hand wet, that's gonna be my left hand, which is going to be picking up the tofu and putting it into the batter. And then my right hand, I'm going to keep dry, and that's for pressing in the coconut. You could add some breadcrumbs in here as well if you wanted to make it even crunchier. You can really smell the garlic and the ginger. This is going to be super delicious. The ginger, the garlic, the coconut, all flavors, and the soy, all flavors that go really well together. So there we've got our 4 coconut crusted tofu slices, and then we've got the roast potatoes underneath. You'll probably have some leftover tofu marinade, and you can just pop that in the fridge and use it another day for another marinade, a sauce, or a dressing. The great thing about this not being meat is that you can just use this in anything else, and you don't have to worry about cross-contamination. We're ready to set off the Turbo Tower air fryer now. We've got the 5-spice potatoes in the bottom, the coconut crusted tofu on the grilling tray, and then we've got the pak choi in the top air fryer basket. So we're going to turn on the air fryer, and we're going to select first the top basket, and then we're going to choose the grill function. I'm going to reduce the temperature to 180, and we're going to give it, I think, 8 minutes for the pak choi. Then we'll go to the bottom basket. I'm going to choose the roast function, and we'll do it at 200 degrees, and I think we'll do it for 15 minutes. I'm then going to select the sync function, and that's going to mean that both baskets will finish cooking at the same time, and everything's going to be nice and hot. And then just set it off. And as you can see, the pak choi is on hold until the tofu and the potatoes have got underway. This air fryer features a high-speed DC motor with intelligent auto control, meaning you get faster, more efficient cooking that's also quieter. As well as having 10.8 litres of cooking capacity, it barely takes up any space on the counter, and it fits really snugly underneath the cupboards. It's also built to last and has a 2-year warranty. While the Turbo Tower air fryer takes care of all the cooked elements of this dish, let's get started with the homemade hoisin sauce. We'll start with a couple tablespoons of tamari or soy sauce, 1 teaspoon of white miso, then the juice of 1 lime for some lovely fresh and zingy flavour, about 1 teaspoon of sesame oil. If you want to keep this oil free, then feel free to leave it out. 1 fairly small garlic clove, 1/4 teaspoon of fragrant Chinese 5-spice, and then I've just got 4 sort of medium-sized medjool dates, and I'm of course going to just remove the pip or seed. You could use regular dates, that would be absolutely fine. They just add a really lovely caramelly rich flavour to the hoisin sauce. And then some water, and that is all your hoisin sauce ingredients. And just give it a good blend. This recipe is for more of a hoisin sauce dressing to drizzle over this delicious bowl. So it's not going to be quite as thick as your traditional hoisin sauce, but it's going to be super delicious. It is still thick enough to coat the spoon though, so it's going to coat the tofu, the potatoes, and the pak choi really nicely. Pickling liquor is super simple. Just pop a saucepan on a medium heat, and then we'll add an equal quantity of water and vinegar. I'm going to be using red wine vinegar, but you could use apple cider, white wine, it's up to you. Then add a couple tablespoons of sugar. I'm just going to add a few fennel seeds to sort of fragrance the pickling liquor. You could use mustard seed, ginger, black peppercorn, it's up to you. And we're just going to bring that to a boil, and then we'll give it a taste, and pour it over the radishes. I'm also going to add just a little pinch of sea salt. So while the pickling liquor comes to a boil, we're going to thinly slice these beautiful radishes. If you don't like radish, feel free to use another vegetable such as carrot, cucumber, beetroot. It's totally up to you. You could also cut these into quarters, but they will take a bit longer to get that really nice pickled flavor. So if you were doing this the night before, then that would be absolutely fine. I've got a Kilner jar, but any jar or container, Tupperware will do. That's come to the boil now, so we can pour it over the radishes. Pickling these with a hot liquor is going to mean they're going to take on that pickled flavor really quickly. Just make sure they're all well submerged, and then we'll leave them until we're ready for dinner. Okay, so filming, cooking, and also talking at the same time can be quite tricky, and mistakes have been made. I was meant to put the pak choi underneath the tofu, as they all cook at a similar time, and then the potatoes were meant to go in the top basket, as they're going to take a bit longer. But it's all good. The tofu's cooked now, and we're just going to keep it hot with the pak choi. So the tofu and the potatoes are now both beautifully crispy, and the pak choi is lovely and tender, and also a little bit caramelized and crispy in places. The roasting tray then comes out really easily. It's got these two little handles here. Just make sure to use a tea towel as it is going to be hot.
So there you have the 5-spice and coconut tofu goodness bowl, filmed in slow motion because I accidentally turned that on, but I don't think that's a problem.
You've got crispy 5-spice potatoes, then you get the lovely tender tofu with a coconut crusted top. The pak choi, it's slightly spicy, but it's got a nice fresh bite to it, and then that sticky, fragrant hoisin sauce just brings everything together. Really tasty. And making that balanced bowl of goodness was no trouble at all. It was quick, it was easy, and it was all thanks to the Cosori Turbo Tower. If you'd like to get one, check out the link in the comment section or in the description box. Bye-bye.